Good evening, everyone. I am Dhananjay Sharma, and alongside my colleague Bhavani Shankar, we will be presenting our World Bank Development Projects Dashboard. This interactive tool visualizes billions of dollars in development funding across decades, countries, and sectors. Before we dive into the interactive features, let me highlight the key components of our dashboard. At the top, we have our key performance indicators showing total projects, aggregate funding, active project percentage, and average project size. Currently, we are looking at 21,500 projects, representing around $1.6 trillion in funding. The dashboard includes five main visualizations: the choropleth map in the upper left showing geographical distribution of funding. Darker blue indicates higher funding levels. The leaderboard on the upper right ranking countries by either funding amount or project count. The time series chart showing funding trends from around 1950s to 2022. The sunburst hierarchy in the lower left displaying regional and country funding proportions. And the parallel coordinates plot in the lower right allowing comparisons across multiple metrics simultaneously, like IBRD commitments, IDA funding, grants, GDP, and population. The filters at the top allow selection by year, region, project status, and sector. These controls update all visualizations in real time. Now let's begin with the choropleth map in the top left. This map uses color intensity to show funding levels across countries. Darker blue indicates higher funding. Watch what happens when I select India by clicking on it in the map. Notice how the entire dashboard responds. Our KPI cards update to show India's specific metrics like 915 projects, $156.4 billion in funding, 19.4% active project percentage, and $171 million average project size. The leaderboard highlights India at the top. The time series chart now shows only India's funding history. The sunburst diagram highlights India within the South Asia region. The parallel coordinates plot isolates India's metrics across all dimensions. Now let's select India again in choropleth map. You can see everything returns to the global view. Next, let's explore the leaderboard interaction. The leaderboard ranks countries by total funding received and the number of projects. China is currently second with $74.4 billion. Watch what happens when I click on China. Similar to before, all visualizations update to focus on China. KPI cards now show China's figures. The map highlights China. Time series shows China's funding history since 1950. Sunburst emphasizes China within East Asia. Parallel coordinates also isolate China's metrics. Let me select China again in leaderboard chart. Everything returns to the global view. Now let's look at the time series chart. This line graph shows funding trends from 1950 to present day. Watch what happens when I hover over different points. As I hover over each point, a tooltip appears showing the specific year, total funding amount in that year, and the number of projects in that year. You can see funding increase dramatically in the 2000s and then in 2010 and around 2020. Now let's examine the sunburst visualization. The sunburst shows funding hierarchies. The inner ring represents regions with different colors, as you can see in the legend. The outer ring shows countries within each region. Now let me click on India in the Sunburst hierarchy. Once again, the entire dashboard updates to focus on India's projects. Now let me click on India again in the Sunburst graph. See how we return to the global view. Finally, let's explore the parallel coordinates plot. This advanced visualization has 5 dimensions: IBRD funding, IDF funding, total grant amount, GDP, and population. We have implemented two special techniques here: edge bundling, which groups similar lines together, and alpha blending, which makes overlapping lines transparent so patterns emerge. These techniques help reveal relationships between variables. For example, you can see countries with higher populations tend to receive more IBRD funding. That concludes my demonstration of the core interactive features. Now, I will hand over to Bhavani, who will show you additional filtering capabilities of our dashboard. Bhavani, over to you.
Thank you, Dhananjay. Let's begin by exploring the filter functionality. Currently, we are viewing the global picture, but let's focus on South Asia to see how the dashboard adopts. Notice how all our visualizations instantly update. Our KPIs now show South Asia has 2,600 projects, $285.9 billion in total funding, 15.2% active project percentage, and $109.3 million average project size. The choropleth map now highlights South Asian countries, with India showing the darkest shade, indicating it receives the highest funding. The leaderboard updates to show just South Asian countries, with India at the top, $156.4 billion, followed by Pakistan, 53.5 billion, and Bangladesh, 46.1 billion. The time series trend now displays funding patterns specific to South Asia, showing significant increases since the early 2000s. The sunburst diagram focuses on South Asia, revealing the distribution of funding within this region. The parallel coordinates show how South Asian countries compare across different metrics. Notice how India has high funding but moderate GDP per capita, highlighting the complex relationship between economic development and World Bank investment. Now let's reset to all regions. Let's explore projects with active status. Our dashboard updates again. The KPIs adjust to show 3,000 active projects globally, $302.8 billion in aggregate funding, and naturally 100% active project ratio, which is pretty obvious. $102 million average active project size. So this gives us an insight that higher the overall average, suggesting recent projects tend to be the larger ones. The choropleth map's intensity shifts, revealing which countries have the highest proportion of active projects. Notice Bangladesh and India. They remain prominent, indicating they are still receiving significant new investments. The time series trend now focuses on active projects, showing the recent funding patterns. The sunburst hierarchy reveals which regions have the highest proportion of active projects, with South Asia and East Asia and Pacific being the prominent. This view gives decision makers crucial information about where current resources are being allocated and which regions might need additional attention. Now let's reset the status part. Let's now explore a specific sector. Water supply is critical for development, so let's select it. Immediately we see water supply represents 749 projects, 58.8 billion in funding, 20.4 active project percentage, and $78.5 million average project size. The choropleth map shows countries with significant water infrastructure investment. India, China, and Brazil show strong water sector investments. The parallel coordinates show how water investments correlate with population size rather than GDP, suggesting the World Bank prioritizes water access based on human needs rather than the economic status. This sectoral view helps identify which countries are investing most heavily in water infrastructure and how this investment has changed over time. The dashboard exemplifies how modern data visualization can enhance transparency and decision making in global development, making complex information accessible to policymakers, researchers, and citizens alike. Whether you are analyzing global trends or focusing on specific countries and sectors, this dashboard provides a comprehensive window into the World Bank's effort to build a more sustainable and equitable world. Thank you so much for tagging along. I hope you learned about how World Bank helps countries fund for different projects.